Miss West here. I will be going over how to make this pencil case that we're going to be working on in handwork. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to be the perfect size to hold all of your pencils. It's going to have a really nice felt lining, the few stripes, and it's going to be purled, knit and purled the whole way, which is called a stockinette stitch, until we get to the end of the stripes and the purling, and then you're just going to knit, and this is what we call a garter stitch. All right, let's get knitting. Hi everyone, it's so good to be with you. Okay, so we're gonna start by making our slip knot. To make our slip knot, you're gonna take your first color ball of yarn and you're gonna grab the tail between your tall guy finger and your thumb. And you're gonna stretch it out. You're gonna stretch your arm as stretched as you can stretch it. And then you're gonna take your pointer finger and your thumb in your other hand, or just your whole hand really, and just hold the yarn right at the center of your chest. Your arm as stretched as you can, your yarn at the center of your chest. And this point, at the center of your chest, is where we're gonna make the slip knot. Of your yarn that was right at the center of your chest, and it's gonna turn into two frogs that wrap around your finger. And they're gonna start playing some leapfrog. And so the first frog goes jump right over the other frog, and then the other frog says, I can jump even further, and jumps all the way over the second frog right into the pond, splash, and pull those two tails nice and tight, and there's your slip knot. So now that you have your slip knot, you want it to be on your needle facing towards the left with your tail, oops, mine's backwards, in the front. So I'm just going to turn mine around so that my tail is in the front and the yarn that's attached to my ball is in the back. And then we're going to take your pointer finger and your thumb on your left hand and go right through the two strands of yarn. Wrap your three bottom fingers around the strands, hold them nice and tight, and then scoot your slip knot a little closer to the end of your knitting needle. Make sure your knitting needle is nice and level with the earth. Take the point and you're gonna go over and under the yarn in front of your thumb, and then right over the yarn that's behind your thumb, straight to the yarn that is below your pointer finger. Go over and around it and hook it, and then twist your fingers just in a little pivot, and then pull it right through the hole that your thumb makes, and pull the yarn that's in the front of your needle. Pull that nice and tight, and there you have a cast on stitch. We'll do it again. So Jack's gonna go in through the front door, run around the back through the window, and on jumps Jack. One more. Under, over, grab, and right back through. Pull it tight. Now we want to have 28 stitches, 28 little birds sitting on the branch. Great job with step 1. Now step 2 is to knit 1 row. So to knit, you will hold your knitting in your left hand, and you'll take your second knitting needle and put it right into that first stitch in through the front door. And then you'll take the yarn that is attached to your ball. Make sure you're not grabbing the yarn that is attached, that is your tail, because you will quickly run out of it. And we will take the yarn that is attached to our ball with Jack through the front door, take our yarn and we'll run around the back, and then we'll go back through the same door, and off jumps Jack in through the front door, run around the back, back through the same door, and off jumps Jack in through the front door, run around the back of the needle, and then pull that needle back through the same door. Make sure your yarn is still on there, and then off jumps Jack. When you're knitting, remember to be careful when it gets a little tight and you're at the tip. Make sure that this needle doesn't just slip out and it looks like a stitch, but it's really not. All it did was just jump from one needle to the other one. Make sure that Jack is always running around the back and then jumping off. And then just finish up that row. Wonderful. There we go. Perfect. And always make sure to count that you still have 28 stitches. And if you don't, that's a good time to either call Miss Pearson or Miss West. Next, after you've counted all your 28 stitches and made sure that they're still there, we're going to purl. So to purl, we're still going to be holding our needle with our yarn on it in our left hand. But this time, instead of going in through the front door, we're going to go down through the front door. So we're taking our second knitting needle and we're going down from above through this stitch. And then pointing up, taking our yarn that's attached to our ball, going around the back of the needle that is in the front. And then we're going under the door and off we jump. So just like normal. So down from above, run around the back of the front needle, back through that same door, and off we jump. So down from above, around the back of the front needle, hold it tight, and then under the door, and off we jump. And now you can just purl the rest of this row. Nice and slowly, making sure that each stitch gets purled. Step 3. So now you have knitted and purled 6 rows of your first color. To make sure you've done 6 rows, you can count your stitches. do that, it's easier to count them on the knitted side. And you can use your other needle and count the little V's. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the stitches that are still on your needle are 6. Now we are going to switch to our second color. To do that, you're going to get your second color. This is mine. It's still a green, but it's a darker green. And you are going to get the tail of it. There it is. And then you're going to take your other needle and go right into that first stitch, just like normal. But instead of using the yarn that you have been using, you are going to take the tail of your second color and wrap it around the front of your needle that's in the back, and you're going to let it hang, and you are going to hold your new second color tail with your first color yarn and hold it tight, and then with your pointer finger and your tall guide, you're going to hold onto the new yarn that is attached to your yarn ball, and then you're just going to finish that stitch with your new yarn, second color yarn. And just be very gentle with it, because it will like to it grows really easily. But we will want to keep it just right. And something that will help to keep it just right is if you carefully tie the tail of your second color with your first color yarn, and just a gentle little knot, and pull it right tight up there. Perfect. And the nice thing about this pattern is that once you get your second color on, you don't even have to cut your first color yarn. It will just carry up. It will make switching colors in the future much easier. But for now, we are going to knit one row with our second color, and then we are going to purl one row with our second color. And I will see you back at our first color. Step 4. All right, now the first thing we always want to do is count our stitches to make sure that we still have 28. Once you have done that, we are going to switch back to our first color. So you have just knit one row and purled one row of your second color. And now to switch back to our first color, it's really nice because we still have it attached, right? And we've just tied a little knot, keeping our first color and our second color together, so it's easy to just pick up the first color again, and just start knitting with it. So we'll go right into that first stitch, and your second color will get a little loose, so just make sure it's snug. And then just pick up your first color yarn and start knitting around the back, in through the front door, and off jumps Jack. In through the front door, run around the back, peep through the window, and off jumps Jack. And keep doing that. You're going to knit one row and purl one row with your first color, and then you will knit one row and purl one row with your second color, and just keep following the pattern